quality is subjective. It's like beauty, eye of the beholder. Output is not subjective. You either do 97 push-ups or you don't. The form is a variable, there's other things, but the place where everyone's getting caught up in is not understanding that the at-bats is a cost of entry. You're building nothing, posting once a week. And so where people get caught is they don't have ideas. The end.
Knowing what you know about us, where would you start? I mean, that's a...
Well, what are you...
Let's go...
Yeah.
Let's go a little bit different.
Yeah.
I've got some thoughts on that, but let me ask you a question to answer the question.
Yeah.
What would you like to happen first? Like, obviously you want it to be successful, but, where are you from a cash flow, fundraising, distribution, like core things of like selling something? Where are you on the journey right now?
So we raised $3 million at a $30 million valuation last July, so 15 months ago.
Good timing.
Yeah, exactly. And then as you know, the world changed pretty quickly, so our tooling costs, everything got a lot more expensive than we were anticipating. So we just finished up, we have 2.8 of our second $3 million that we raised at that same valuation. So
that's impressive that you were able to do that in this environment.
Yeah.
Why was that? Same people in, or were you able to get smaller checks from a lot of different people?
Almost half of them was the same people putting more in, doubling down.
Yeah, they didn't want to lose their,
there was
positioning.
there was no, when we did second raise, it was just Eric, Pat, and I, the three main that diluted, nobody else, not the shareholders.
Oh, good
we
for you
diluted
guys.
ourselves, not
Good for
them.
you.
And
Smart.
during that same time, we actually
So they
changed it and
appreciated that.
we did a priority distribution model where they get out first as well. So before we get any money now, they get out.
The investors lucked out, if this goes well, in the fact that you guys needed more dollars for your COGS, and it gave them preferential terms.
Absolutely.
And you were able to get your dollars. Understood. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, we're sitting here today with our whole production line, tools, everything coming in as we speak. And
with this additional raise, how much more runway do you have before you start getting dollars in?
Well, we are pre-selling right now. So it's kind of like a soft launch pre-sale. So we have sold, I think, 370 chairs up until this point over the last 4 months.
And how are you doing that?
It's just pretty
mouth?
much social tests and word of mouth and our network. My wife is a little bit of an influencer, so she's been posting some.
Yep.
Yeah, she got 130,000 followers. So, we're just kind of ramping up and getting tested.
How much allocation do you have for marketing going forward?
How much
money?
I
know it's a moving target, but have you given it a gut feel of what you're thinking?
Yeah, so we've got it budgeted out. Once we hit the ground running in June and we're shipping product, that we've got it 50, 60 grand of a month of social spend at that point, plus, another about 100 a month allocated for marketing.
Understood.
Yeah.
It's great. It's plenty to get things done if you do it right. It's
Yep.
very easy to waste $100,000 a month, and it's very easy for it to change your life.
And that's why we're meeting with Sasha to hopefully
100%.
dial in some of those metrics and ads and tests. So once we start spending that money, we know we're not wasting our money.
And do you have a sense of do you have a gut feel and or any insight to who you think is going to buy it?
Our personas are lined out as people in pain. We always say that if you're in
Any kind of pain or back pain?
Well, back pain's the primary driver.
Back, butt, shoulder.
Yeah. Pain that's associated with sitting, right? So those are the main
Sitting
ones.
is the new cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. So we always joke that if you're in pain, I think you've been in pain before.
In like a real way.
Yeah. If you have 100...
My whole life, I had a bad back.
Yeah.
Because and it was crazy. It was really fascinating to go through the process of fixing it. It was just it was in such a bad place, the QL, that it was obviously a lot of stretching, a lot of muscle gain around different parts, especially in my butt and legs and things of that nature. But it's amazing how much soft tissue did for me. And just like being more thoughtful about my sitting, but to the point of why I was really enthusiastic about your business is, standing desk is like really fun to think about in theory, but just not realistic for a lot of. It's practical for people who have the discipline and the capability. Everything in to me, working out is not practical, but I hired babysitters and they've made me do it. for other people, working 10 hours a day is not practical. To me, it's the easiest thing on earth.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, it's not practical to fast. I don't eat for days at a time with ease. So like to your point, for a very small group of people, it's practical, but for the 90% of us, it's not.
Yeah.
And so the thought of like perfecting the chair to the best of one's ability, you're still sitting, and we weren't even created to do it. You know, as human, it's
Yeah.
really, you know, I really got into it.
Squatting.
Yeah, you did. I see.
You see
I
where I'm
can
going with
tell.
some
Yeah.
of the things?
I like this.
And it's really cool. And I think, you know, much like clean living, clean eating, exercise, mocktails, I really think this is I, as an investor, forget about us doing a collab, and I would never, ever have you on my podcast for a bar. Like, I actually think it's like a big deal.
Yeah.
I think it's like can really help people. And then, you know, like, it's really cool. It's really, somebody's going to win it, and might as well be you guys.
We appreciate that, and what we see as the mattress industry has killed it, right?
Yes.
They have educated consumers that investing in a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 mattress is worth it to them because they're doing a great job of articulating that benefit and that return on their investment. Where we see the
and convenience,
absolutely
right?
and
You know, mattress in a box was convenience.
yeah,
Nobody want, no question.
yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
But our space, we haven't
I
seen
think that's
anybody
where your
do it well,
content
yeah.
needs to go. It needs to go into things that caught my attention, like legs. Like, who wants to do legs, right? Like, but one of the reasons I like do these fucking Bulgarian split squats is Mike convinced me on data that people's lifespan is incredibly tied to their leg strength because of how many people fall. And that starts the process of death in 70s, 80s, 90s. And like, I'm like, fuck it. You know, and so like, I think a lot of what you need to do, to your point, is entertainment education. You know, like, I think there's a lot of upside for you if you can capture the zeitgeist, to your point. No different than nobody in this country did exercise 50 years ago. Nobody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 7 people. Like Jack LaLanne and 3 friends. Like, you know, and so like, and now it's just
Then
like,
Chuck Norris got into it.
you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, literally now it is like every person in America at some level after the age of 25 realizes they may not do it, but they're aware that that's not good. And I think to your point, I think that just leaning into entertainment around data will be huge. Like, the average 30-year-old executive sits for 2.9, you know, hours a day, whatever the math is. That equates to, and like, just start pounding at that, and then you go into like what's the cost again?
It's it'll end up being about $1,700.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I go into, okay, that's about 5 years, 4 years at $1 a day. So I go into like at $1 a day over 4 years, you'll live for 4 years longer. That becomes a very compelling advertising framework. That's where I would go.
Okay.
Because I think that lands with humans. So I think it's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right? Just a lot of like, just really like, so the thing that really caught my attention, and I think this is where you can be a platform that isn't just being about your chair. So I'll give you an example. I think soft tissue work is like another category that has humongous potential. That like, it's insane to me how many people don't even know of its existence, let alone what happens when, like,
Tom Brady worked for him.
and you know, like, but for me, if you told me 15 years ago, if I lived in today's world and I saw a TikTok that says, "Do you have a bad back?" I'm like, "Yes," and they're like, and they were like, "Do you know that is not about discs and things like that's like if you do soft tissue work, you'll be cured." I can't believe what it's done for me. It took a while. I was really fucked though. I was in it for 20 years.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a place where you can play, which is, yes, you want to sell chairs, but if you play as a brand in overall pain relief education, so now this is why the strategy with Sasha is going to be so important, and like why this is important, what we're doing right now. Sure, you can make unlimited content about the chair, but if you team up with influencers, or your wife does it, or you do it, or however we go about doing this, and you're actually acting as if you are a health and wellness company, not a chair company, and you are putting out 800 pieces of content around just soft tissue, because it's overall the context of what you're doing, I think you can find a lot a lot of pay dirt there.
Awesome.
See where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
It also broadens out the creative you can do.
Yep.
You know, the roll stick that if you were one of those companies, like, you'd be making that content. Well, you can be making that content as a chair company, because really, you're not a chair company, you're a health and wellness company.
Absolutely. And
Which then, if you take it to the extreme, now you're making content about meditation, around tea, right? Now all of a sudden you're not just getting my attention, you're getting my girl's attention because that's her interest graph. And so really opens, I mean, there, from my girl to my mom to like my best friend Brandon, all three of them would have recommended this chair to me 10 years ago.
Back then, yeah.
And I think that's what you need to be doing. You need to be making content that can hit a lot of people under the overall macro of like, we want your life to be better. And for us over here, like, these are things you should go and explore. We just happen to do this. But like, you should also buy, this is where you can do a lot of collabs. Like, if you have a point of view on like a pillow, or like when people fly, talk about like, I had everything stacked against me, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you have a point of view on it,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, this is aligning the neck, and that's what this, and they're doing a good job over there. You should learn about that too. That's the video. You could be doing that from sitting in the chair from the account. You're just giving people a good, like, if the video, think about what you see all the time, like how to like be in less pain when you fly 20 times a year is a video that's going to stop a lot of people. It's a video that you wouldn't make in a million years had we not had this discussion.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of video that if I get value from that, that becomes a gateway drug for me becoming aware of the chair, and it triggers. Got it?
Yep. Absolutely.
Holistic experience.
Yeah, it's just like you're gonna run out of things to say if it's just
the
like
chair.
buy this chair.
Yeah.
And so what it's kind of like, I didn't realize I was doing this as a content creator, but it was like from wine to where I went, from wine to business to, oh, wait a minute, why are all the business questions actually about the way I have a perspective on life? And so then it just gives you so much freedom. And that's what got me into like parenting, like it gets you to new places.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna need to do the same thing to achieve the upside of what you want,
Yeah.
which is like if you're an overall, like, we want to eliminate pain, you start, obviously there's the physical part and this part, but then I went higher. Then there's emotional pain. And it gets into a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of people's stress in their back is actually where they store their emotional pain.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff,
Yeah.
something to think about.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of content.
It is a lot of content. And to make this very crystal clear, quality is subjective. It's like beauty, eye of the beholder. Like, do you guys like Sanan's shirt? I'm not sure. But he loves it, right?
Yeah,
And so like
yeah.
that's always going to be subjective. What's not subjective is he's wearing 2 shirts. So output is not subjective. You either
Right.
do 97 push-ups or you don't. The form is a variable. There's other things, but the place where everyone's getting caught up in is not understanding that the at-bats is a cost of entry. You're building nothing, posting once a week.
Right.
The end.
Yeah.
And so where people get caught is they don't have ideas. That's the big aha for me. I took for granted how easy it was for me to do what I just did right now.
Yeah.
But that ended up being like the output of my whole life, right? Like, that's how I sold lemonade
Yeah.
and sports cards and
Yeah.
wine and everything. Like, that's just a lot of reps,
Right. Yep.
So I think that, yes, it is a lot of content. And the reason I'm creating the framework is to give you the ability to make a lot of content. Otherwise, what are you gonna put? We can customize your chair. This is what the chair does. Like, you're gonna be out of ideas very fast.
Yeah.
But there's 4 colors.
Right, exactly. So you got 4 to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a third.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? That's exactly right.
And-
You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's all this.
That's what we feel like the space we're entering does. So if we can create this new category of we're more
That's
than just a
right.
chair, then we
That's
separate
right.
ourselves instantly and,
like,
create a
and
category.
about y'all, and like you said,
Yeah.
like, you just got to make it a family affair, and
Yeah.
like anything and everything.
Yeah.
I think a lot of LinkedIn is going to end up working. I really do.
Yeah.
Because corporate buys can get real interesting. I think the B2B component could be quite meaningful, especially on 2 extremes. One, Wall Street, hedge funds, are just rich, big businesses. And 2, very small companies that heavily value their employees and believe in this lifestyle. It becomes a very compelling value prop if you're going after companies that have 10 people in their health and wellness startup, like you can see a path to that being a very fruitful place for you.
Especially if we have data that shows that your workforce will be more productive sitting in a chair that promotes good posture and increases cognitive function and all of those type of things. And all of a sudden it's an investment.
If you win that battle,
yeah,
and America or the world buys it, that's exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, we would like to say, there is research that shows that sitting with good posture supported increases productivity.
I believe that to be true on common sense. What you'll need to make sure, one thing I promise you, and I'm sure you understand this, but it's very easy, especially when stress starts to pile, to compromise on this. As long as you're incredibly transparent to where you're getting your hypotheses or statements from, you'll be fine. It's a lot of brands, when faced with, right? If you only sell 370 chairs, this is going to get real scary real fast.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, you can go, but you can't compromise on that. So you just have to be over communicative of where the data is coming from, or it's a pending research, or this is the opinion of this stuff. Like, just make sure you properly hedge.
Yeah.
Because that could be a shitstorm in the other direction.
Luckily that's our background. We came from the medical space, so we're used to having to prove. If we
correct.
say something from
It's
a
gotta be
marketing
right.
side, we've got to have something to back it up. So that's
Or you
our
say
wheelhouse.
it in a manner that hedges it
Yeah.
and appropriately positions it.
Yep. Absolutely.
What if you were here like pitching me to invest in it, like invest in buying 1,000 of them. Forget about like investing in company or just buying one. Where do you start when you communicate why someone should buy this?
1 versus 1,000 is different.
Yep.
If it was for you, I'd make it more personal.
Yes.
You're a high performance individual. You already have pre-existing back pain and you're
Yes.
working on it. This is a tool that will probably give you an equivalent amount of change daily as doing your other therapies.
I would actually argue even more in your favor. So here's what was awesome for my journey. I'm 47, so almost 9 years ago, 8.5 years ago when I started. The truth is that actually that's not true. That's when I started getting my health in order. It's when Jordan came and really diagnosed it. So that was 3 years ago. So 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago is when I really started. As a matter of fact, I'm so glad I used to do the vlogs. Like there are like 100 episodes where I'm out in public and you can see me rolling all the time in the corner in my quads. It was really fascinating because once I knew what was happening and I could feel it was working, I wanted to roll and soft tissue at all times.
Yeah.
Anyway, so boom, 5 years, I would say 18 to 24 months of real work. And 7 days a week, true rolling, true stretching, true building up muscle in the places that were weak that created it. And incredible amounts of soft tissue work got me there, where I was like, oh my God, got me to the point where my right side was worse than my left, which was like fucking insane to me. But here's something interesting, which is where I'm going, because I think it could be very important for you. And then COVID happened.
Yep.
And in COVID, I went through 18 months where I was sitting for really 15 hours a day, actually. Whereas here even, I'm gonna get up and walk. I traveled so much, so you're just walking. And during that time, I decided that I was like frustrated that I didn't have any muscles, even though I got thinner and healthier. I was like, me and my trainer were like, this is the time, like to finally do. You could do it right. I'm doing it right now, but I hadn't been able to do it right on the whole concept of if you're going to really do the weight work, really eat the protein. Like I went for it. I wanted muscle gain. The way it worked out with my schedule, I did way less stretching and getting ready. It was just like, so that was the focus. I sat way more. And I got to tell you, it really, really, really affected me. And had I been in a chair like this, the damage wouldn't have been as extreme. All that hard work, to your point, if you don't complement it with this,
You're undoing it.
You're just undoing it.
Yeah.
Because your body's doing what it's doing to get you back into that place.
Yep.
When my back and it's ironic for us to be together. This is the first time my QL has acted up in a long time, right?
We're kind of hoping you were in back pain when we showed up.
It worked out for you. Like literally, it's stunning. I played 2.5 hours of basketball, and 3 days ago, I played basketball, and within the first bit, and I was like, oh my God. As a matter of fact, for the first whole hour, I thought it was the other side. Because I thought my brain told me that I'd fix this side.
Yeah, you're like, it's not
I'm like,
right.
oh my God, I fucked up. I should have kept, like, I literally thought it was my right side. Game end, because I was so competitive and you know how to
Yeah.
play. And so, and so it's over. I'm going home, like, wait a minute. Holy fuck, it's my left side.
Wow.
Right? Now, a couple cool things. All that work did pay off because it didn't go out. It didn't actually lock.
Yep.
It's just wants to, but it's like, so, but I think, like, to me, that's a compelling story, which is like the biggest thing that discourages people with like weight and things of that nature is when you go and you do well and then you, right. And then when you fuck it up, when you go back, like, to me, the thought of like, what? I fucking just did all 2 years of like, this was like the number one focus. And I sat for a year during COVID and I fucked it all up.
Yeah.
It's really devastating. And like, I think if people knew that this is the culprit,
Yeah.
this is the culprit.
Oh yeah.
I think it's overlooked. I don't think people.
It's not a
think about
popular conversation.
Nobody thinks we're the sitting nerds in the room. We really care about sitting, and everything you're saying, we go hell yeah to, because the chair is the culprit. So is gravity. Actually, the chair's first, and the constant push of gravity on us, and then face down, and we turn into this.
I've always fucking hated gravity.
Yeah.
Such a dumb thing.
No, I really do like the hypothesis. Obviously, like anything, when something comes close to home, you're always going to associate. But even if I never had the back thing, this is my favorite business models. The ones of like, what is true that hasn't been popularized yet?
So true.
Right? Those are the best businesses.
and what's the problem that it's taking on? And low back pain's a quantifiable problem.
It's a massive.
Massive.
It's great.
We're not doing
Yeah.
a good job because 80% of Americans still suffer with the bout of it. So somebody's doing something wrong.
How's your back?
We're gonna change it.
Fine. Not great. How about yours?
Terrible.
You? I mean, yeah. Good? Or like after the legs, like what happened? Always?
Oh,
Even before the injury?
no, after.
God, yeah, that makes sense. But before, no?
No,
It was good. It's really, really, really good that you're attacked. This is just good for the world.
Yeah, it's feel kind of weird. It's not rocket science that we're trying to. We didn't invent something major. It's like it's just a chair, but if used properly, this chair can really change something that you could quantify as a pandemic.
I understand.
Yeah.
Who's made the most inroads in the genre?
I would say so. It's kind of a split space where the legacy companies like Herman Miller, Steelcase, they've done it the old school way through contract furniture dealers, and
Yep.
they're more legacy corporate-y
Yep.
brands. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, X-Chair, I don't know if you've heard of them. They said, we're going to do it different. We think there's a big enough need. We're going to go direct to consumer.
Yep.
We're going to cut out all the legacy dealers, and we're just going to build our brand direct to consumer. And they killed it. You know, a fairly not a very unique chair. They sourced a bunch of parts out of China, and they just did it differently from marketing and sales wise. And they're rumored at 6 years be a $250, $300 million company.
And what about who's the most aggressive communicator that they're going to make your back better?
It's watered down. They're not.
Yeah, I'm sure they're, given what the mission you're on, my intuition is nobody's going to have your respect for it. That's not the question.
Yeah.
The question is who's been the most aggressive.
There's a company
You
that
understand?
went on.
I don't need
33.
your medical,
Yeah.
that's like, right?
Yeah.
Like grass-fed beef.
Mm-hmm.
How many people here are ordering grass-fed every time they order beef? Great. Now the question becomes, so that's already like not what most people do.
Yep.
But when you understand how the USDA does grass-fed, you have to be grass-finished.
Yeah, I was going to say you need grass
right?
finished, actually.
Right? Because grass-fed, if you give them grass one time and you give them corn and everything else every other time, you're good. Grass-finish is only that. The amount of people that say grass-fed even out there is nothing. Grass-finish is nothing of nothing.
Right.
Similar to your expertise in this. That's not the question. Not do you respect anybody else. Who has communicated that their chair is good for your back the most and has been the most successful with it, if anyone?
I think the most aggressive would be all 33.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were on Shark Tank and they had a chiropractor backing them, so they came from a medical standpoint and were really aggressive with their messaging.
What was the
about-
call? I apologize.
what,
All 33.
All 33?
Yeah, your spine, all 33 of your
That's
spine,
cool.
your vertebrae.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think
And
they've got.
when did they come out?
3 years ago?
About 3 years ago.
Okay.
They've sold 37,000 chairs so
Okay.
far.
He-
So they've been
he's
pretty good.
Hollywood, Cairo, so he got
Justin Bieber and Shaq.
The problem is they don't
Bruce
win
Willis.
They don't win the sit tests, and their reviews when consumers are getting them aren't great.
yeah.
It's,
We're not trying to be catty, but
Yeah,
if you sat on that, if all
Yeah,
of
no,
you guys sat on
honestly,
that chair,
I don't think you're trying to be catty.
Yeah, if you
Notice
sat on-
how I even asked the question?
Yeah.
Because this is the cliche thing you have to go through in this scenario.
Yeah.
Like there's, normally, and
Yep.
of course, you could have done this 6 years ago and might have, occasionally there's not, but almost always there is somebody who is positioning themselves that way that if someone's further along, they may not. This is just very, this is what I needed.
Yeah, X Chair was probably our biggest example of that it could be done, and they proved
Yep.
that
But
you
they
could go.
weren't positioning on the health and wellness aspect. They were just, right?
You know, they've got a heat
Yeah,
massage
they're
thing,
flirting
but
with it.
yeah,
But all 33 really went there.
yeah, the number one
Chair
chair for back pain is their
do
slogan.
you have a good sense? Are you aware that both X and all 33 had the luxury of being in a pre-iOS 14.5 world? Do you know what I'm referring to? The cooking and retargeting and like the
Yeah.
easy way of doing
Yeah.
digital marketing.
We're
Yeah.
all about inbound marketing. So we
Oh, okay. So you got it. So,
Yeah.
I think that is probably the most. This is why it's really interesting. It's such a funny time in advertising because you had 60, 70 years of Mad Men, right? Like it's the idea, just do it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then you had these last 15 years of more, right? HubSpot. Thank you. Like
inbound.
right, math,
Yep.
math, not art.
Yep.
Right? Like
Yeah.
the right search long term, like how I built my dad's liquor store, right? Like I bought the word wine on the first day Google AdWords. That worked.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
was-
Email, open rates, right? But what's interesting is, and this might make sense to you because you guys have context of me, I was always very interesting for everyone in the digital marketing sphere because I didn't commit to math all the way when math all the way was working. And it always confused people.
It was funny to watch your journey through that because
Right?
you did kind of just skip it over it. a
Yeah,
lot.
because I always understood that it was part of the equation, but it wasn't the equation the way that people wanted to really say. Like it wasn't the. I always knew that we were at the mercy of Google, at the mercy of Facebook, at the mercy of Apple, and it's now really happened. And plus, it's supply and demand. Intent-based marketing is amazing. Like back pain share, enter. That's like a good thing to spend on. It was a
Yeah.
lot more exciting when it cost this much versus what it cost this much, and landing, and just like the way even consumers land and convert now, much more cynicism, much more affirmation, much more brand needed.
Yeah, you're talking our language. We actually met with Rivian 3 weeks ago, and
Rivian, go ahead.
and we asked, "How'd you find us?" And they said, "We Googled best chair for sciatic pain."
Yep.
Found us. So
Started the
we're
battle.
Yeah,
going the right direction.
Yeah, intent-based marketing is super fun, and Google will always have that. I mean, that's why the Chat GPT thing is and the AI thing is so interesting because we now see the first. This is the first thing I've seen that says Google could be in trouble, and that would rewrite out so much.
Yep.
It'll be interesting if Google has something in their back pocket where they're just like, "Sorry, we've already got this prepared. We're ready for this."
They don't. They definitely don't.
You don't think so? Wow.
And Microsoft.
Because I'll tell you why. It's not even about that. It's not even about that because the concept isn't as easy to do AdWords against. If people's search behaviors change to being told in a different format, the results don't give you notice how AI works versus a search engine. If you're asking an AI about tell me the best, it's going to tell you. There's no result. Exactly. It's more of a referral business
Yep.
than it is an AdWords business. It could be upending in a way that is bananas.
Yeah, that's true.
If it right, if it's now just lead, it's just going to be affiliate. If you think about it,
Yep.
if they're going to if the AI bot's just going to say it's you, well, there is no other results. Now, of course, they could say here are my 3 favorite options if you want the spiciest chicken, and so that could go into that game. But it's still going to kind of it's going to make more decisions for you than search, enter, hit. Now I choose.
Yeah.
It's going to take you further down the pipe, which is going to make the referral and the affiliate more valuable.
Absolutely.
They can charge more. It's going to Microsoft's not investing in it for kicks and giggles.
Yeah.
They're trying to fucking, come out of.
Doors off.
Yeah, they're trying to like fucking after 20 years of pain get back. Yeah, so I think the thing that you're going to have to win on is the thing that is really uncomfortable for people that do inbound marketing, because it's based on much more art than one would like it to be, and a lot more, chance. This is why the creative conversation is so important. It goes into what we call brand formance. You got to do brand content at scale. When it hits over-indexing your math norms of engagement or viral, that's when you turn it into performance ads. So the algorithms are so strong on consumer interest, it's almost like you're putting them out there, and it's not test and learn or throw against the wall and see what sticks and spray and pray. It's breaking down the consumers into as many different consumer segmentations: people with back pain, people that just want quality of life, high income earners on the coast. And it's in the end, you got to go broad and narrow, high performer, or rich dudes in New York.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's a smaller thing, because now you're making a New York reference, not right. So the more you can put teeth on, it's back to search engine logic. I used to buy wine, and then 4 years later it got competitive, and I had to buy Opus One 1997 Cabernet to get what I needed. That's kind of how we think about segmentations. It's not high performer because you're going to go vanilla, which means it's not going to be a video people give a fuck about. But if you make it Milwaukee Buck fan, in Milwaukee, now all of a sudden you're targeting, and now now you're running it as ads in Milwaukee. Got it? You're setting up.
That's what we're doing with the pain persona. We've really niched it down to even specific things. I've got sciatic pain, and so we keep on niching it down even tighter and telling the message directly to those people.
And it's really funny. A real creative place I'm going in my mind with this product is, I think that people are a little bit too direct about the following hypothesis. If I buy a mirror, right? If I buy a Peloton, if I buy one of these items, it's very easy for me, Hydro, I pay for the thing, and I pay $20 a month for the content, right? Because the content's in it, right? Makes sense. And now you're in the razor business, you're in the video game business, right? Sell and make the money. I would argue that you might have permission to do that without the hardware having to be the execution of the content. Let me explain. I believe that if this chair came along with a $20 a month stretching and soft tissue product, where you had whoever doing content once a week of things, that it gets really interesting. Here's why. One, the cost of that is quite low compared to the scale, right?
Yep.
2, it becomes marketing. 3, it becomes perceived value that you can leverage for customer acquisition. So if you're saying, hey, chair, with 52 weeks a year, and we're going to constantly update it. There's not 52 different exercises, but it just might be different things we're doing. That once a week on Monday, it comes along with content that helps you with the other part of it, the offense. This is maybe the defense. Depends on how you want to structure it and position it. That I like it because filming it will just be good for your marketing anyway. It's almost like you should be doing it anyway. Now you're creating a closer connection to some of the other stuff that has worked. Now you're a real point of differentiation from all 33 and other things. Now you've got the thing that people really want to buy, which is in real-time content. And all of a sudden now you're coming with here are our 5 videos this week or 3 videos this week. Every Monday we might have 1 video, we might have 7, but here's our videos this week. And it comes along with this, but I would have people pay for it, but then I would revert it all back as if you buy now, you get all $240 for free, and you see where I'm going?
Yep, absolutely.
And so what I really like about it is, one could argue, okay, Gary, but you're incurring cost of time and video production. I'm like, fair. I would counter with, you're going to have to do it anyway for your overall marketing plan, but now you're positioning it as very high value, right? Because if it is a $240 subscription, well, that's times as many people as you possibly get to consider it. Now you've created a lot of institutional value. That's a leverage point. I think that's something you should think about.
Yeah, and that matches. We're not a chair company. We're
Correct.
a health and wellness
Correct.
company.
And now, God willing, you have a couple viral posts. Maybe one of them's about tea. Now a tea brand hits you up. Now you tell them we do weekly videos. Why don't you come in and because now we're running out of stretches. There's only so many of the things We're like, we'd love to have you on this week, Sarah. Fly in. We'll film.
Yeah, love that. Just a way to keep it going.
Just a way to keep it going. And really to give you a huge leverage point to create urgency in closing deals. You're creating an asset out of thin air that's in a $240 credit that you can use all day long. 1 month free, 6 months free, 1 year free. It just gives you ammo.
Yeah.
And if all else fails, if it didn't work at all, it becomes unlimited social creative to build awareness anyway.
Yeah.
So I think you should do that.
We are currently offering.
You like that one, right?
We're currently offering a version of that for free. When you buy the chair, you
Yep.
get a whole Get Out of Pain video series.
Yep,
You get a
I
little
like it.
Better Back product that was on
Yep.
Shark Tank.
Yep.
So you can take it on your plane. You can
Yep.
take it wherever you go, and it kind of emulates
Yep.
that feeling.
Yep.
But we don't have a value associated with any of those items.
Right. And as
Is
you
that-
know, because you don't, they're not valuing it as much in the emotional graph. If you land and say, here's the chair, here's the price, plus make sure you don't forget, sign up for the $20 a month. This is our strategy. Monday, you'll have to decide.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday they come out. It could be 1 to 7 videos a week to keep you busy. On the other part that you're in control of when you're not on our chair, I would make that like a meaningful, I would call it the side dish to this. This is the steak.
Yeah.
It's your mashed potatoes and green beans. Like this isn't like salt the way that thing is
Yeah.
in my mind. That's how I think
So
about
by
it.
us not assigning value, we're actually
Devaluing.
devaluing.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Whereas if you structure the price of, and it could also become a business.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
there's plenty of influencers who make millions of dollars a year selling a $9 to $20 a month product in health and wellness.
And we have 2 OT people that understand it. They're therapists.
Yeah, we'll do video all day long.
Yep.
Yep. And then what else I would do is I'd hire an intern or a low-cost employee who loves social media. Only, you're gonna like this one. I'm going in a little bit of, I think, we'll see how you react. Who only is looking for other people making content across the entire social web that would pass the muster. Notice how I said a lot of things. You're like, oh, Gary knows a little bit. That's
Yeah.
like, there's people that, like that's just serendipity of what happened. Going around and saying, like literally constantly sending to all of you, here are the 6 people I found this week on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram that seemingly know what they're doing. Then you're making a subjective opinion, then you're digging deeper. They did step 1. And then you're reaching out to those 3 people and saying, do you want to do something? You want to be in our content? So you just have, a mixture of that.
Yep.
Well, and that exposes you to all different platforms. versus-
What gets really weird about it is it's also just a complete macro business hedge. Like Nintendo started as a playing card company, like literally playing cards. I have a funny feeling you wouldn't be thrilled if you ended up with a $35 million a year content business on this, but I have a feeling it would be better than completely losing.
Yeah.
And so what I like about it is that you're setting yourself up for opportunity by doing this in a meaningful way. I think the world has only thought of it literally. Here's the machine. I'm going to put the content here. It makes sense. I think there's a separation of it of like, I bought the thing that granted me access to the content. And I kind of played with that a little bit with Empathy Wines. I never really went all the way there, but like had I had more bandwidth and was at a different part of my career, Empathy Wines would have been like, buy a subscription and you get me, and Wine Library TV, which is how I started, 5 days a week is the only way you can watch it is through the paywall of buying a subscription. It would have crushed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm telling you to do. I didn't need the screen to be on the bottle of wine. You can attach it through the transaction. I think that there is a substantial chance that is going to be a massive genre because it's just too big of an asset that you can play with.
Yeah. And nobody's doing that
Nope.
in this space.
There's nobody
for
doing
sure.
it. There's nobody
Yeah.
doing it, period.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't get
love
here
it.
with my looks. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what I got. This is what I got.
You guys should, you guys
What's
should be
fun
busy for
about
the
you know
next
what's
2
funny
years.
about that mic drop and see it, like what's so fun about everything, but like business falls in that as well, is that like it's fucking amazing. One insight, one way of seeing it slightly different. If you can execute it, it's the whole damn thing.
Yeah. I love it.
I think it would really work. And
Well, I
what,
love it. We were kind of going that direction. That's what I love about all these different ideas. Is like it latches onto what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Exciting.
Yeah.
what I love about it most is I don't like when someone has to do something heavy to make the thing happen. Right? You just spoke about like emotionally and strategically we're going down this path. So that's number one, perspective. But number two is actually just resources, time, and money. What I love about this is like you're gonna need to make you're gonna need to make content anyway.
Yeah.
Why not just package as a product that is an added value to buy it? Now all of a sudden people are like, again, if you position that hard as when we go buy dinner, that's why I'm using that analogy. When you buy dinner, when you get the mashed potatoes and like that's part of the dinner. I think that's how it has to be presented here. This is the main course, but this is the other thing. And by the way, you can buy this thing without a chair. You could.
Yeah.
Maybe that one's $30 a month without it, or $20 if you buy the chair, or
Yep.
19 or 9 and 40. Like you'll play. That I feel confident now that I get a sense of you that you can play with that. But I think it'll be really, really like what I like about it by far the most is the urgency, like the stuff you can do on like customer acquisition, and when they convert, like all of a sudden your Black Friday sale is. You just created your Black Friday sale of like, you get the entire year of it for free, a $360 value. And if you say disciplined and never do free for the year, but only it's a month or 2 or 3, but the year, you get the 6-month one and the year one as your big thing, and you don't dilute that, then you're off to the races.
Okay.
Plus all the collaborations you can do through content. And if God willing, this goes well, and now you've got 10,000 paying customers because you sold 10,000 shares with it. Now it's leveraged to the influencers. Now the influencer wants your audience this week.
Right.
So he's coming and doing it, and you're making a basic, in essence, community trade. So now you have an asset. So now you're not paying influencers 3 years from now. You're saying, like when you're talking to them, they're like, "What are you going to pay?" Nothing. You're going to have the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
to get
You're welcome.
access to 30,000 of our people.